Position stones on a backgammon board, its red and black points faded to shades so dull as to be almost indistinguishable. They would agree, as they did every morning, that the loser would pay for the coffee. This would be Rodriguez, not because he was the poorer player, but because Aldo cheated. She turned her attention away. These toothless old men were of little concern. On Avenida Cinco, 2 federales patrolled the waterfront. She could remember a time when there were no federales in Playa, no Hotel Mocas, no Norteamericanos, and little crime. She could remember when the park was only a rough field where the men who worked on the coconut plantation played ball. She studied the air around the soldiers and saw the shimmer of red, the vibration of the fire serpent. The younger of the two strutted with the self-importance of a rooster. A whistle from the pier signaling the morning boat from the island brought Tia Clara back to the business of the day. She opened the cardboard box and took out string hammocks, woven shawls, and a selection of belts, which she hung from the dowels of the hinged wooden frame. Vanilla blossoms and dragonflies were carved into the wood. Felipe the carpenter had made the frame for her after she had cured his infant son, who had suffered from ill winds during the first weeks after his birth. Once the carton was empty, Tia Clara opened her umbrella and screwed its small clamp onto one end of the table's edge, throwing half the surface into shade. In the shadowed section, she set down the wood and wire cage. Pieces of broken mirror, affixed to the wires with red and yellow yarn, caught the sun's reflection, causing them to dance around the sidewalk and square. Her shawls and hammocks were well made, as good as any shop in Playa, but it was the bird that drew the tourists. "Adivinación?" Tia Clara called when they passed. A sign on the table informed passers-by, fortunes for 6 pesos. At first they would keep their distance, reluctant to be drawn in, but they always stepped closer once she opened the cage and took out the canary. It was not yellow, but green, which she knew was the most successful color for canaries. Head cocked, the bird would consider the cards, pluck one from the spread. Holding the card in its beak, it would cross to her hand, perch on her wrist, and drop it into her open palm. By now, Tia Clara would have chosen a single tourist to receive the card, most often a woman, as women were more open to this kind of thing, and give a brief reading. If it was the first reading of the morning, she would wave away the offered pesos. It brought bad luck to charge for the day's first fortune. In the beginning, she had used an ancient deck, but she soon realized that the tourists did not like it. They wanted to know about money and love, always love, and they did not want to see images foretelling illness or sorrow, loss and regret that waited on the horizon, confirming what Tia Clara had learned long ago. It took a sturdy heart to bear the weight of truth. Now she spread out small pink cards printed with words like love, fortune, happiness, and health. The fairy whistle sounded again. Tia Clara took her medicine pouch from the pocket of her apron and sifted dried chia onto her palm, then sprinkled it on the table at the 4 directions for the creatures that held up the sky: armadillo, snail, turtle, and crab. Even for the gringos, things had to be properly done. Then, moving quickly, furtively, she tossed an extra pinch into the air, a gesture to placate old ghosts and quiet new fears. "Buenos dias, Tia Clara." Paco, the baker's son, held out a cup of the thick chocolate atole, sweetened with honey, scented with vanilla. He placed a small saucer of dried crumbs on the table. "Gracias," she said. Recently, because he was in love with Maria, the middle daughter of Eduardo Linares, the wispy second shell that she could see enfolding Paco's body was a shade of rose, dusted with gold.